What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, this is my family, and on this planet we send it. And what we're going to be getting today, well, we're testing out the transfer case. We just came up the backside of Yucca Valley from Pioneertown up here to Big Bear, and now we're going to do the easier trail, Gold Mountain, because also my cousin in his Jeep Blackout has done a lot of modifications. We're not sure how his Jeep is going to hold up, and so we kind of want to test his out on basically an easier trail before we move on over to Holcomb, which will be a little bit more difficult. So the plan for this trail is, at least so far so good. Transfer case is doing well, so I'm pretty happy. We're just going to head on over to Gold Mountain, go through that pretty easily, and then head on around to Holcomb, and then that'll be the end of the day. Now I will say, as we are coming up the truck trail, the roads are rutted out significantly from the rain that we've been having, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what Gold Mountain looks like. And I've never done Holcomb, so I have no reference to compare it to, but I think regardless, today is going to be a fun day. All right, I got a plan in place. Risks are acceptable. Let's go ahead and send it. Now, I'm going to be up front. This trip ended up getting cut short because I ended up blowing my radiator. So what we're going to do on this video is I do want to show, at least those that are local to California, I want to show them how much of the damage that has been done to Pioneertown Road up to Big Bear, because it is pretty significant, where it's typically supposedly just a, truck trail that should be an evacuation route and, pretty much able to go through on just about any vehicle. Now you definitely, I would say, need to be in a lifted vehicle, at least with some higher ground clearance, to get through some of these sections. So we're going to do a short music montage up to Gold Mountain, and then we'll go ahead and show you what footage I do have of me testing my transfer case just prior to my radiator blowing. So we arrived at Gold Mountain, and what I noticed when we got here is that since the last time I've been here, the gatekeeper here, they had actually filled up the beginning part with cement to make sure that the road doesn't, become more eroded. So it did make this a little bit easier to get on up and over. I think previously 4-doors had to have at least like 37s in order to get up here, but now you're pretty much able to get up here without any spotting. This is my cousin Eric in Blackout, where he had all the work done to his Jeep, 42, 70s, front and rear, hydro assist, etc. He unfortunately brought it to a shop that was over their head when it came to the amount of work that he needed to get done, and had been fixing everything to include drive shaft binding whenever he went over a curve. So this was like the first run for him to actually kind of make sure there wasn't any more binding and to check articulation. Then after that, we just headed up to the first waterfall. And the one thing I want you to pay attention when we get to the waterfall is how much of the bedrock is exposed now. Last time I was up here, it was actually covered in dirt pretty well, so it made it a lot easier than it is now. Even the easier line is probably going to give some people a challenge to where before it wouldn't have. So that was Joe in his blue Jeep. He has a V8 from Motec. He was wanting to go up the easier line, but he wanted to do it in 4 high just to see how his Jeep did. And this is Alex actually going up the hard line in his Jeep.
Oh, so close. My Jeep turned off.
I see that. case. And the next I was up, I decided to take the moderate to moderate hard line. And before it wasn't so difficult for me. This time it gave me a little bit more challenge because of the sand that had been eroded away, and I was just sitting a little bit lower than I was previously. What you saw right there was unfortunate. I don't know what happened, but I was having some throttling problems from this point on, actually for a week or two after this trip. It ended up fixing itself, so I don't know what happened, but yeah, when I'm in 4 low and the throttle, you know, kind of guns it like that, my brakes really don't have much control over the Jeep.
You gotta bump it. Just go follow that bump. Come on, Nate. You've been working. Right there. Now bump it up. Put your window down. Give him a bump from right there, Nate.
What's that?
A rolling bump from right there. You'll come right up.
Straight?
Yep.
And that right there is what unfortunately finished off my radiator, but we'll get to that here at the end. Let's first watch my cousin Ryan coming up the easier side in his TJ with 2.5 liter manual transmission going up on his 35s, and then after that we'll watch my cousin Eric going up in blackout, and then we'll talk about the radiator. So I'll talk a little bit more about the lesson learned here when we get to the closeout, but first I want to show you where the crack is here at the top of my radiator. The fortunate thing was the crack was here at the top of the radiator, so what we were able to do to get me off the trail was, number one, fill it up with the water that we had and, you know, put some of this Gorilla Tape on here and kind of prevent it from coming out too fast. So I basically idled down the hill for pretty much all the way, and then when I got to the road I was able to just make it all the way to AutoZone. And two things I'm fortunate with: number one, my cousin Ryan and my brother Mike here. Well, number one, my cousin Ryan's has a TJ, is familiar with the Jeep. My cousin Mike is a mechanic, so my cousin Mike actually called AutoZone and they had the part on hand, and so I was really fortunate they had the part on hand, and we basically did an AutoZone repair. Alright, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I will say before we get to the final lesson learned there that I didn't show some of the more rutted out parts of the Pioneertown because when I was going through them, I wanted to have both hands on the wheel, etc. So I didn't showcase as well as I would have liked to. But just know if you're going from Pioneertown up to Big Bear, it's going to be a lot more rutted. If the last time you were up there was about a year ago, or before Hillary, I should say. And I will say, sort of the lesson learned on the radiator was we smelled radiator fluid beforehand. But I was looking and I couldn't find it. So what we suspect, and I don't know if this is 100% lesson learned, but I'll say that I'll suspect, and maybe if you're smelling the same thing, something to look out for, is since it cracked there at the top, we think that since when it would get hot, it was just evaporating pretty quickly. So take a look at the places on the radiator. If you're smelling radiator fluid, on where it might be, you know, bubbling out once you actually start smelling the fluid. So let it warm up, you know, so where the radiator is actually, and the thermostat is open and cycling the radiator fluid. Take a look there and see if that might be the problem. So hopefully you prevent something that happened to me from not happening for you. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.